Um, we're starting out talking about looking at and talking about Authenticsign email messages because we do get questions, and really not just Authenticsign, but really any email that you send outbound from your transaction desk account is coming from transaction desk. It is you are sender in name only, as we'll see here. This is just a generic kind of demo email account that I use to send and receive email notifications through these training sessions. And what we're going to find is that we are sender in name only. And the email is actually being delivered. I'm going to open up this email message, Greg MLSOK, Mulsock. When Authenticsign or Transaction Desk, when you instruct the program to email forms or email documents or send a participation email from Authenticsign, that email is being sent, in terms of Authenticsign, it's being sent from secure@authenticsign.com, coming out of your transaction desk account with Instinet forms or documents. Those email are coming from do not reply at transactiondesk.com. So they are these kind of system-generated messages. Your name is the sender's name, but the actual email account is coming from our servers. You are instructing Authenticsign or Transaction Desk or Instinet Forms to send these emails basically on your behalf. What you also notice is that you'll get notifications when these are successfully sent. But your recipient's email, that's always the great unknown, right? How is their email? How is your recipient's email account set up? How do they filter their incoming email messages? So when you are sending from these online accounts, from secure@authenticsign or from do not reply transaction desk, these emails most likely, if there's an issue, it's that they're being filtered. They're not ending up in the recipient's inbox. They are showing up in either maybe a spam folder or a bulk folder or something like that. So if you are contacted by a cooperating agent or one of your clients saying, hey, you told me that you sent this Authenticsign invitation or this forms out of, you were going to email me some forms, I haven't received them yet. The first thing you have them do is check their spam or bulk folders in case their email account or their email provider has filtered those inbound messages to a different folder other than their inbox. So you can see I have a few over there: important, sent, drafts. There are a number of different folders that can receive email messages. So in those instances, if they are received as spam, the recipient typically has an opportunity to mark them as not being spam, so that future or subsequent messages that are emailed from Authenticsign or Transaction Desk will be routed to the inbox and avoid that spam filter. So first things first, if your clients or cooperating agents are stating that they did not receive the email message, have them check those alternate folders, spam or bulk or whatever those other ones are. Second thing to always do, it not to sound patronizing, but check the email address that you typed in. Sometimes it's just that you get a little dyslexic, or you leave out a number or a letter, or you put .net instead of .com, or something is auto-completed for you, or there are some user errors, and I speak to them because I've been guilty of doing it. So always want to check those email addresses for accuracy and completeness. So sometimes you write instead of .com for .com, you'd get CMO or CM or something like that. So little things like that can cause just as big errors as anything else. So just want to point that out. These email messages, system-generated email messages, are coming from our servers, our Transaction Desk or Authenticsign servers. You are the sender in name only, so have your recipients check those spam or other folders. Another item that we want to talk about, hopefully that covers a lot of covers some ground for some folks. Bear with me here. I'm going to pause my screen just for a second as we're going to shift gears, segue now into another, I'll say common, but another issue that folks come across times is their forms or contracts not loading. They are trying to open up forms edit mode to type up an online form, and it just sits there at the loading, and it spins and spins and spins, and nothing's happening. The form is not successfully loading into that form editor. It's causing you to not be able to type up the online form, or perhaps you've typed up the form and you're trying to save it, and it's called the spin cycle. It just spins and spins and doesn't save. In those instances, those errors are routinely caused by Adobe Acrobat Reader, or the not having Adobe Reader set as your default PDF viewer. So I'm getting logged into this Transaction Desk account, into the Forms library, so we can kind of speak to that just a little bit more and show you some steps to how to check to make sure that your default PDF viewer is Adobe Acrobat Reader. So again, this the tech tip that we're going to try to convey here within a transaction file when you are going to open a form. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to click on one of these forms to launch Forms Editor, just so we all are comfortable with the scenario I'm speaking to. When you go to click on that form, and as that form goes into Forms Editor, right here, if you ever get stuck here where the form just continues to spin and spin and spin, right here, this loading form, if this loading form box does not go away, if that form does not successfully load, it's typically 97% of the time it's going to be caused by Adobe Acrobat Reader. Typically Adobe Reader not having an updated version of Adobe Reader, or that Adobe Reader is not your default PDF viewer. Our forms are based on Adobe Acrobat PDF technology, especially, and we're going to talk about browser compatibility as part of our next portion of this session. But browser compatibility, when you're using Internet Explorer or Firefox on a Windows PC, you are using Adobe Acrobat Reader as the basis of the Forms Editor. So when those forms fail to save or those forms fail to load, that is generally speaking an Adobe Acrobat Reader error. So how do we check that? How do we ensure that Adobe Reader is the default PDF viewer? And you can do this. Everybody can do this on their computer. You want to go to the Start menu. Actually, this is only for PC users on Internet Explorer or Firefox. You want to go to your Start menu, and you want to open the Start menu. I'm using Windows Vista. So I'm going to choose from the default programs, because you want to set the default program. Anytime a PDF document is open, it's going to default to use Adobe Acrobat Reader to do so. So we go to the default program, which I have open up here. Now, let me just go through the steps. Start. Default program. Again, it could just be a little bit different depending on the version of Windows you're using, Vista, Windows 7, things like that. But essentially what you want to do is associate a file type or protocol with a program, because we are going to associate the PDF file type with the Adobe Reader program. So from here, by clicking on this button, what will happen is this list will pop up. All the different little file extensions. And we can see that PDF is right in there. So we are associating a file type or protocol with a specific program, so that we want to ensure, and as I have here on my computer, the PDF documents, Adobe Acrobat document is being opened by Adobe Reader. Because if you are using Adobe Pro even, or Adobe Standard, these different versions of Adobe will cause those loading and saving errors, because Adobe Pro is different than Adobe Reader. Because Adobe Standard, they have these built-in editing features that cause incident forms to not load them correctly. So you want to ensure. So if we needed to change this, we'd highlight the program, and sometimes you PDF viewers get downloaded on your computer. If you're installing a different program, sometimes it'll get snuck in. There's Turbo PDF, and there's Qt PDF, and there's Nitro PDF. There's about 30 different PDF programs out there. The one that we want to focus on for Instinet Forms is Adobe Reader. So we would select that. If your current default was something other than Adobe Reader, you'd highlight that, click on Change Program, and you would go through and find Adobe Reader to make sure that it is going to be the default PDF viewer set up on your computer. So if you've never installed Adobe PDF, Adobe Reader, then just go to their website, adobe.com. It will do the rest. You click on upgrade or download. It's going to check to see the version. And speaking of versions, you might want to be above Adobe 8 or higher. You don't have to be on the bleeding edge, if you will. I think the most recent is 10.1.2 or something to that effect. But you don't necessarily want to be on the bleeding edge, but you also don't want to be too far behind either. So if you're in 8 or higher, 9 area, that would be very good and stable PDF viewer to have installed on your computer. So, and these are little things that can happen for each different computer that you sit down at your home office, at your office workstation, at the computer at the library, or the computer at the business office, the hotel. These are all different computers with different settings. So ensuring that these features are set up appropriately is going to ensure that you get the best use of Transaction Desk. I close that view. And in this file. So again, you go to your Start Program, Default Programs, Associated File Type or Protocol, making sure that for your .pdf documents, Adobe Reader is that default program. And you won't have any issues with forms loading and forms saving. So just a common setting that can cause some issues, because if you can't get into your forms, then it can cause significant issues with writing contracts. So make sure that Adobe Reader. And I say that in terms of usage, that in these instances of Adobe Reader with Internet Explorer, Firefox, maybe this is a nice segue to talk about browser compatibility. And you have access to this document that I'm about to open. If you can see or can expand that GoToTraining sidebar part of this GoToMeeting, that GoToMeeting sidebar, there's a section called Materials. And if you expand that Material section and scroll down a little bit, we have a bunch of links to videos and some PDF documents here that you have as takeaway. One of those documents is called Browser and Tablet Compatibility. So I'm going to click to open that PDF right from the GoToTraining sidebar. So if you wanted to open up a version as well, you certainly have that opportunity to do so, just so we can talk about the different compatibilities, because again, Transaction Desk and all of its components, Instinet Forms, DocBox, Authentisign, these are all web-based applications. Wherever you have internet access, you can log in and access your account, your online account. So when you are accessing these online accounts, you want to make sure that you are doing so in a supported browser and operating system. And it's pretty easy. We do support the I would say all of them, but the big three for PCs anyway. For Windows PCs, supported browser, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. Chrome is handled a little bit differently. Chrome, and as we'll see here in a moment, Safari browser for Mac devices. And I say Mac devices because Mac laptops, Mac desktops, Mac iPads, and things like that all want to use Safari browser, but we'll get to that in just a second. For Windows-based PCs, we talked about Internet Explorer and Firefox. If you prefer either of those browsers, you want to ensure that Adobe Reader is at default PDF, because Chrome does not support Adobe Reader, or really any of the Adobe plugins. Chrome has its own PDF viewer, and due to that, we do support Chrome, but Chrome uses a bit different of an HTML5 based forms editor. So I know this is technical. I don't want to get too techy, but just there is a difference when you are accessing Transaction Desk. Essentially, it's Instinet Forms is really the only program that is fundamentally different is Forms Editor. When you're using Chrome or Safari browser, you're going to use this HTML5 editor rather than Adobe Acrobat based editor. Just different internet technologies. Because Chrome and Safari do not support the Adobe plugin, we created or using this different internet technology to offer an experience through those different browsers. So for Windows-based PCs, we do support all three browsers. Just in terms of development and history, we have the longest history of development with Internet Explorer. 5 years ago, Explorer had 90% of all browsing was done on Internet Explorer. Firefox, maybe it was 5 or 6 years ago, Firefox was a distant second. Chrome, I don't even think was on the map yet. In 5 years, Internet Explorer has gone from 90% of all Internet browsing sessions down to below 50%. Firefox is in the mid-20s. Google Chrome is gaining the most usage, the fastest. I think they're up to almost in the 30% now. So Google Chrome is quickly becoming the preferred browser by a lot of users. So that's why we added it in the support. But in terms of history and development, Internet Explorer we've been developing for the longest, and it's really going to typically give you the best experience in terms of stability and access. But just little pop-up messages, as you'll see some little differences within Internet Explorer that you just don't see in Chrome. We have a whole 45-minute session based on Chrome and Safari, but we do support all three, just a little bit differently for Windows-based PCs. I started to talk about Mac, so we want to speak to that just a little bit more here. Scrolling down a page to Safari, and it really is Safari browser for all these different types of Mac devices. Again, Mac does not support Adobe plugins, so you will use this Safari. So anytime you're using a Mac, desktop, laptop, tablet, iPad 1, iPad 2, iPad 3, you want to use Safari browser. So with that, there are some little differences, but otherwise you'll get a good solid experience using Safari browser with Mac. So scrolling down a little bit more, because we have some additional access points. Here it is, talks about tablets. We do support both iPad and the Android-based Zooms, and these others coming out. And even since January 15th, when this document came, we've made some enhancements and some continuing to enhance and develop the HTML5 based Forms Editor. And like I said, I continue to emphasize that the only real difference is in the Forms Editor. When you are typing up an online form, if you're using Internet Explorer, Firefox, you're going to use that Adobe based Forms Editor. If you're using Chrome or Safari, you're going to use this HTML5. The other features of transaction management, of document retention, of authenticized signings is the same whether you're using Safari or Chrome or Internet Explorer. But we do support all these different internet devices. And last page there, we also support smartphones. We have this docbox2go.com is our website that is optimized for mobile browsing, and it really is designed for those smartphones, iPhones, Blackberries, Treos, Android phones. It's easier to talk about the things you cannot do, because there's just one thing that you cannot do, is fill out an online form. DocBox2Go is to access your files, to access your completed typed up forms, to access your online documents, to receive them, review them, and deliver them outbound right from your smartphone connection. Because again, Internet-based, you are online, web-based applications to send outbound emails, send outbound faxes. So you can access your accounts through DocBox2Go, optimized for mobile browsing, and review and deliver documents outbound from your account to cooperating agents or lenders or home inspectors or title officers or whomever. So good opportunity there, DocBox2Go for that type of mobile access to your online transaction files. Again, really the only limitation is that you cannot type up a new form using DocBox2Go. If you need to type up a form, access on one of the other browsers, laptop, desktop, tablet. So smartphone access. So that's browser compatibility, all because the internet is a big crazy conglomeration of technology. So you want to make sure that you are using ones that work together. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that document again. It is available through the Go To Training sidebar, the material section. Looking at our online account here. Forms editor. I'm just going to back out of forms edit mode. We're creeping up on that hour mark. We're going to make sure that if there's any issues or items that you've come across that we have not really spoken about during this session, if there's any items that you really wanted to focus on, please do let us know using that chat section of the Go To Training sidebar. We've been reviewing those, trying to working them into the session, but want to make sure as we wind out our half hour that we really have covered the sessions that the items that you're most interested in covering. Pausing here just for a moment. So one thing that it might be of value to is just to see how you can check those computer settings each time, or at times when you don't necessarily are sitting down at a computer that you haven't worked on before, or if you are experiencing some issues or errors. I'm going to go to the Pro view of my online account here. I'm in the top third of the page, the right-hand corner. I'm going to DocBox Pro, and know it or not, you have one account. There's just different views into this account. Light view is kind of a less is more approach. It's just fewer transaction management features. Pro view is all of the management features. DocBox To Go is another view, and it's your smartphone view. DocBox Print Driver is another view, and it's virtually print documents right from upload, email, or fax right from the print feature of your document. We're going to go to the Settings tab. From the ProView Settings tab, I just want to point out where you can rerun that Preflight. Anytime you're having any potential issue or error, you can run that Preflight. And I'm going to click here to continue so you can see those steps. Maybe you did it once 5 years ago and didn't even remember doing it, or maybe you did it once a month ago when you set up your account and you don't recall what it said or what it did. So here is the Preflight, because it's going to check some features, and one, and I'm glad I did this because it really brings up a great feature, the pop-up. Allow pop-ups from transaction desk. This could be the single most important thing that you can do in terms of tech support on the computer that you're working on, is to allow pop-ups. Allowing pop-ups really solves a lot of issues. So and just allow pop-ups from transaction desk. You're not just opening up your computer to pop-ups from every website. You're really just allowing pop-ups from our site. That numeric value 209.99.48 it is the secured site of transaction desk. So allow pop-ups for save prompts, for calendar icons, and for all of those system messages. Believe it or not, pop-up message can also help set the Adobe settings correctly and can further benefit those Adobe settings as well. So allow pop-ups from transaction desk definitely is a highlighted feature that you want to do. And this can happen at a lot of different places. You can get pop-ups blockers set at a lot of different places. They can be set at your computer security level, your internet options, if you will. They can be pop-up blockers can be set at search or toolbar. So if you have a Google search bar or a Yahoo search bar, there can be a pop-up blocker activated within those little search bars. So there could be 2, 3, or maybe even 4 different areas where you have pop-up blockers enabled, and you want certainly to make sure that you allow pop-ups from transaction desk. So all those different places you may potentially have pop-ups blocked, go ahead and make transaction desk Authenticsign Incident Forms a trusted site to allow pop-ups. We see that through the Preflight, it's checked some of our browser settings using Microsoft Internet Explorer 9.0 on operating system Vista. My Adobe plugin is 10.1. I am set for Java and cookie support and allow pop-ups. Now I have a whole bunch of green checks there on my, because believe it or not, my computer is set up for Transaction Desk to make sure all those settings are correct. If they were not, you would receive a red X there. Instead of a green check, you'd get a red X with instructions on how to take corrective actions. So if you didn't have JavaScript or cookie support or pop-up blocker, you are going to get a red X, and you will see instructions on how to take corrective actions. If you were in Adobe plugin 7.0 or 5.0, you'll see a red X with instructions and links to Adobe's website to upgrade Adobe. So you will get instructions. We reran the pre-flight system check just to make sure we reran the pre-flight. We went to the Pro View Settings tab in the top third right-hand side of the screen. I went to Settings and Preferences. Settings and pre-flight system. The settings is a great place. If you've never been into this tab before, there's just a whole lot of detail here available in terms of my preferences, which is where you can go and set default values for your account, for the filtering, and see the content that's most important to you, to filter it and otherwise display it default values. You'll also find the details about DocBox to Go and the DocBox print driver here in my preferences. If you want to add branding to your outbound email messages, your faxes, your Authentisign invitations, the branding here in the bottom left-hand corner will allow you to upload personal photos and company logos. So a lot of content in here that can be generated within the Settings tab. But with that said, it was a 30-minute session just to talk about some of those common items: browser compatibility, Adobe Acrobat Reader, Authentisign, or just general email, system email messages getting diverted. Just some features that can be, I think, easily corrected, but when not, can cause mass amounts of frustration. So hopefully that was a benefit to you. I'm going to re-raise this audio message. I want to point out a couple items as well within this audio message. Starting off with youtube.com/Instinet Webinars. It's our site for recorded content. Now, through the Go-To Training sidebar material section, we have 10 links within that material section to short 1 to 3 minute how do I videos, to short overview tutorials, 5 minutes on DocBox to Go, 5 minutes on the print driver, and shorter, very concise for specific actions can all be found through the materials. If you wanted long overviews or full 60-minute overviews on how to create transactions and set up your accounts, youtube.com/Instinet Webinars. We have about 90 different videos. We've broken them out into playlists, so find the content that's going to be best for your needs. I'm also going to put our toll-free support number here, 800-66, actually let's do it like this, 800-668-8768, and that is both for tech support and sales, so we'll call it sales and support. So if you're interested in upgrading your account to additional services like Authentisign or DocBox or task management, 800 number. If you have issues that you're experiencing that we did not cover in this session, support can be 800-668, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have folks there, toll-free number. We also offer what we call tech chat if you prefer just to have an instant messaging with a tech support representative. We have email support. We have all those different ways to contact us. If you need more training and not support, and you've watched a couple of the recorded content and you're interested in something a little bit more personal for yourself, your team, or your office, we do offer those webinar sessions. They are free. This link is also in that materials page. Tungle.me/webinar Greg is our online webinar calendar, so you can go there and find days and times that we can be convenient for yourself, your team, your office. We can schedule sessions. We tailor them to your time and the content that you would like to cover. They're interactive so that we can talk to each other and discuss implementation strategies. So just let us know how that we can best assist you with implementing Transaction Desk and our services of Instinet Forms, DocBox, and AuthentiSign into your business practice. I really do appreciate the opportunity to present, and until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.